Hi friends, and welcome to the Healthy Beyond 40 show. I'm Michelle, mom of 4 and military wife, and I'm passionate about helping women get healthy from the inside out so they can feel better and live their best life. Do you feel like you're struggling to lose weight and get in shape? If you're ready to develop healthier habits, exercise consistently, and lose weight sustainably, then you're in the right place. I combine my expertise from my doctorate in physical therapy to my experience as a health coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher to bring you actionable steps for a healthy lifestyle. No magic pill here, so lace up those shoes and get moving. All right, so I'm excited for this episode today. I'm going to be giving 5 practical tips to boost your metabolism so that you can burn more fat, so that you can lose weight and feel good in your body. So if you've ever thought my metabolism is just slow or it's harder now that I'm older, here's the good news. You guys can improve it. We can change our metabolism. We can make our metabolism work for us. And you don't have to do anything crazy to make that happen. And you guys are probably going to be quite surprised by tip number 5. So make sure that you stay till the end. All right, so let's start with tip number 1. Tip number 1 is to move more. And first, I want to define what movement is for me or how I talk about it. So movement is just sort of getting those steps in, moving our body. It is different from exercise. Exercise can be cardio where we're really getting our heart rate up and keeping it up, or it can also be like that strength training. So movement is just like moving our body. It is, walking from our car into a building. It's going on a walk that's not like super, super fast. It's when we're cleaning our house and pushing the vacuum. It could be walking outside to your garden and gardening. So we actually want a lot of movement and a little bit of exercise for our metabolism to work well. So I'm not talking about going to the gym 7 days a week. I'm just talking about ways to add more movement into your everyday life. Just simple movement. And we have to think about this now because we live in a very sedentary society. My job right now is sitting and recording this podcast, or I sit on health coaching calls, or I sit and create people's exercise programs in my personal training app. Despite being here for health and fitness, my job is mostly sedentary. And I know a lot of you guys have more sedentary jobs too. So we're sitting at work, we sit to scroll on our phones, we sit to relax, and we are really never meant to live this way. So we actually have to be very intentional about moving. So for me, that looks like going on 1 to 2 daily walks. Like if I probably lived 100 years ago, I probably would be like working the garden and helping with animals, and the cleaning just would have been more vigorous that you had to do around the house. So we have to take where we are today, and that is more the sedentary society. And we still have to make that work for the way our bodies are designed, and our bodies are designed to move a lot. So for me, I'm going to have to go on 1 to 2 walks a day. And I also want to give you something you can sort of visualize here. So it was 2 or 3 years ago, we went and we were looking at different churches. And this one church had this pastor who was super lean, like very skinny guy. And the whole time he gave his sermon, which was like 20 or 30 minutes, he was basically like pacing around. Like he just kept constant movement. And I was thinking like, man, that's probably why this guy is skinny. Like he's probably doing this in his everyday life. He's probably someone that doesn't sit still a lot, that he's just getting up and moving a lot. And then you can imagine someone who may be overweight, maybe is older or not older, but they sit a lot and they're not getting a lot of movement. And you're probably picturing someone who has more fat on them, who maybe does get up to walk and they're out of breath. So we have choices to make in our life. And I'm not saying we have to like pace and move as much as this pastor. You guys didn't see him, but it was a lot. But it comes back to we have to be intentional about moving our bodies because we don't live in a society that supports the way our bodies are intended to work. So when we get this movement, just these extra steps, extra cleaning, parking far, going for intentional walks, or going for a bike ride, that movement is going to burn fat. It's going to increase our metabolic rate. So our rate at which our body just burns calories, it's going to be bumping that up when we are consistently, there's a key word, consistently getting more movement in. So maybe you could try taking a walk after dinner. Maybe you could get up and do a loop around your house or your office every hour. You can park further away. You can get up in the morning and go for a walk. You could also put on a dance video or some music and just dance and move your body. So don't overthink it. Just figure out how you can move more if you are someone who's not moving a lot. Now, I do sometimes talk to teachers or nurses or things like that who tend to get a lot of steps. But this is for the majority of us who aren't getting a 10,000 steps here or there a little bit. We need to figure out ways that we can keep moving our body more. And let's say you're someone who is at like 3,000 steps. Don't make a goal for 10,000 steps. Make a goal for 4,000. Bump that up. Do it in a really friendly way to yourself, a kind way to yourself. Okay, tip number 2 is to strength train. So if you really want to turn your body into a fat burning machine, you've got to build muscle. And muscle burns more calories even at rest. So if we have 2 people that we can say weigh the same, but person A has quite a bit more muscle than person B, those 2 people could sit all day and person A is going to burn more calories than person B just because they have more muscle. So even when you're sitting or sleeping, your body's going to work harder the more muscle you have. And you guys don't have to go to the gym and lift like super heavy weights. You can do that, but you can also do this at home. You can get bands. You can get dumbbells at home. Like investing in dumbbells, like they're not going to go bad or get old. I have some from college, so that is like 20 years old that I still have. So that's a great thing to invest in because sometimes going to the gym can be hard and you don't have the time, so you won't go. But if you can do a 15-30 minute workout at home, that's going to help to keep you consistent. And so you can also do things like yoga or Pilates. You just want to feel that burn in the muscle. Now, I will say that when you lift heavier weights and do less reps, so let's say we're doing like 8 to 15 reps, that's going to be a little more muscle building than doing like 30 or 50 reps or just holding like chair pose or something in yoga for a long time. They're going to work your muscles differently and they're both good. So I personally like to alternate with strength training and yoga most days. So that way I'm giving my body a rest from that type of exercise too. But I do make sure that I am strength training and sort of lifting some heavier weights 2 to 3 times a week so that I really can take advantage of building muscle. And I am someone who doesn't put muscle on easily. My sister, on the other hand, like she can put muscle on a lot quicker. So our bodies are different too. And especially for me, I know I need to like really make sure that I'm investing in staying consistent and building muscle because on my body type, it just doesn't happen easily. But even if you're someone who can put muscle on easily, I would still encourage you to keep doing that because the more muscle you can have as you age, the more beneficial that's going to be. It's going to help your balance. It's going to help your strength. If you get an injury, our body uses protein from our muscles. So we want to have as much muscle mass as we can. And we don't have to be bodybuilders or be obsessive about it. And I encourage you that if you need help with strength training, and maybe you're tired of digging through YouTube every day only to find random workouts that may not even be teaching you how to exercise correctly, that I've got you. So I have my personal training app where I create custom workout programs designed specifically for each client. And that way you would know what to do each day. There's no guesswork and no wasting time. You'll also get habit tracking, direct message with me, and the support that helps you to follow through. And if you need a more budget-friendly plan, I have my Healthy for Life membership where you're going to get workout programs designed by me, set up in like a course format that you can go into and follow for 4 to 6 weeks is the average of most of the programs in my membership. You'll also get access to my nutrition and mindset courses. And then you're going to know how to exercise safely and effectively on your own schedule. So make sure you check the show notes below to get more information. Tip number 3 is to eat enough protein. So here's why this matters for our metabolism. Our body actually uses more energy to break down protein. So when we eat something that is mostly protein, our body actually has to expend more energy to break it down. If we eat a piece of bread or a granola bar, it's already broken down and pretty processed, so our body doesn't have to spend much energy and we absorb most of those calories. And protein is also going to help build and repair that muscle. So when we're doing that strength training, we want to make sure that we're having enough protein so that muscle can actually repair and get stronger. And again, the more muscle we have from strength training and eating enough protein, the more that's going to help to keep our metabolism boosted up. And you guys don't have to overcomplicate protein. So things like eggs, chicken, ground turkey, Greek yogurt that is not sweetened, cottage cheese, protein powders. There's so many options out there. And you probably already are eating some and you probably already know it. So don't complicate it. All right, tip number 4 to boost your metabolism is to not overeat. So this can be a really tough one because there can be a lot of history, mindset, emotional things that go into us eating more than we need to. So if you consistently eat more food, because food is energy, then your body needs, it's going to store it as extra fat. So if we're taking in more energy than we need, our body stores it, says, hey, let's keep this for a different day. And our metabolism slows down and it makes it harder to lose weight because we keep packing on the weight because we're just eating more than our body needs. And if we think back to this idea at the beginning of movement, someone who is only moving 2,000 to 3,000 steps a day, they're not going to need as many calories as someone who is moving 10 or 12,000 steps a day. So this isn't about starving yourself or counting every bite. It's about really being mindful, tuning into those hunger and fullness cues, and not overeating by default or because of social pressure or because of boredom or stress. So I want to give you just a very few simple ideas. But like I said at the beginning, it's a simple idea, but it's also a really tough one because there's so much packed into why we sometimes eat more than what we do. And it can take a while to start to discover what that is and break down those patterns and reestablish new patterns and new thoughts in your mind. But here's just a few simple ideas. So maybe at dinner, you're only going to have a half portion of the carbs that you eat. Because most of us, when we eat carbs, they are just so easy to overeat. Most of us are not going to overeat chicken, for example, but we will definitely overeat from that bag of chips or mashed potatoes or something like that. Another idea would be don't eat straight from the bag or the box, is to serve yourself a portion. Because when we eat from a bag or a box, we just keep going. It tastes good and we just keep putting more in our mouth and we really have no idea how much we're eating. Another idea could be to pause halfway through your meal and ask, am I satisfied? Am I still hungry? If I wait 15 or 20 minutes, how am I going to feel? If you think that you might have eaten enough, you can wait 20 minutes and see if you're still hungry and need something. So I know it's a simple concept, but it's not always easy. So I encourage you, if this one struck you a little bit or oh, of course, that's such a simple idea. I know that, I've tried that, is to really just take some time to reflect. What are the situations that you are in that you are eating more than your body needs? What are those emotions and those thoughts? And start to really break that down. Because when you can change this piece, and I've seen it with so many of my clients, sometimes it just takes some time and it takes a lot of trial and error and working with stuff and making that same mistake and doing that same thing, but coming back and restarting and trying again. Because that's when things really start to change. That's going to stick with you for the rest of your life and not just be a diet. And if you're in that place and you know that you're eating more than your body needs and you know that it's not working, but you keep doing it anyways, you guys are not alone. And especially if you're feeling stuck, this is where health coaching can make such a difference. Sometimes we get stuck in these cycles, not because we don't care, not because we don't want to change, but because we're overwhelmed, we're burnt out. We don't really know that missing piece or that next step to take. And that's where I come in. When we work together in health coaching, we can figure out what's really going on and build a plan that fits your life and help to teach you compassion, help to teach you how to restart over as quickly as you can. help to change some of those thoughts that are keeping you doing the same thing. So if you think this might be something you're interested, you can set up a free call with me. It's no pressure, just a real conversation to help get clear about what you might need. And I know it can be hard to reach out for help, but it might be that exact thing you need to break free from the cycles that you've been stuck in for a long time. So check that description down below to set up a free call if that's you. All right, tip number 5. This one might be different than you're thinking, especially when we're talking about metabolism, burning fat. But this is something that I see with my clients, and it's just planning ahead, planning your meals, planning your workouts, prepping your food, all this planning ahead. And I've seen people who go on a diet, maybe like keto, Whole30, or some type of strict program. And when they're on that diet, they put so much energy into planning. I recently know someone who is doing keto, and they had to put a lot of time to prep their breakfast to make sure that they had something to eat at lunch and maybe something different to eat at dinner than their family. And it took a lot of energy into that planning. So, and the planning is part of the reason for the success. So that diet worked for them because they put this time planning and prepping, maybe shopping differently. Maybe they also were planning walks or workouts in there. And our culture has really gotten away from preparing meals, growing food, cooking. We have so many restaurants. Even if I think back to when I was a kid to now, there's like so many more restaurants out there, so many more fast casual restaurants because people are preparing less food at home and they want the quick thing. But getting healthy takes time and intention. And you don't have to spend hours in the kitchen. You don't have to grow your own food or follow a rigid plan. But you do need to think and plan ahead. Most of the time, I plan our meals for our family ahead of time. There are some weeks where I do not plan the meals, and those weeks are always so much more stressful. The same thing with workouts. When I'm intentional and I'm putting my workouts on my calendar, I put my walks on my calendar, or I typically just sort of have a habit tracker to mark off if I've walked, but I have a plan for my movement. Things are so much better and easier. And the stress of eating and working out and planning goes way down because it's planned out. It's just part of my routine. And this planning ahead, I think, is a bit of a mindset piece too. So if you're someone who hates grocery shopping, hates meal planning, hates food prepping, sees it as drudgery, that is something you can change. You may think, but that feels so true to me. I hate grocery shopping. I hate the planning. I hate prepping the food. I don't like planning anything. The thing is, we can start to change our thoughts. And we start to change our thoughts, we can start to feel differently and we can start to act differently. So that thought that needs to change is going to be a little bit different for everybody. So I can't give you guys a thought here to take with because it's just going to be different for everybody what you're thinking and what is going to feel true to you. But I want you to sort of take this big macro view that we're actually meant to prepare food. We're actually meant to probably grow food too, but that probably isn't going to be most of us. But we have to feed our body. We have to nourish our body. And that takes time. And I know that we have busy lives, whether that's kids, work, house, volunteering, Bible studies, all these different things. But at the core of it is we are a person that needs to nourish our body and feed it healthy foods. And yes, we can grab that bag of chips or eat a bowl of cereal, but we know that that's not nourishing our bodies. So I encourage you that if that's you, where you sort of hate planning ahead, most weeks you're not doing it, or you feel like it's drudgery, start to journal. Or if you have my course, the self-coaching system, we do a lot of mindset and emotional work in there, and I teach you how to do that, is to work through those thoughts and start to find thoughts that are more true. So you have thoughts in your head that feel very true to you, but there might be thoughts that are more true than what you're thinking, but you're just not thinking those. So we have to take time to feed our bodies. We have to take time to do a little planning, to go to the store, to maybe prep some food. And I don't do crazy fancy meals here. I keep things pretty simple. So you can still eat pretty healthy and keep things simple. We can get pre-cooked chicken and salad and add some extra little toppings to it. So that doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does take time, planning, and going to the store. And we can look at that with, I get to do this. I get to nourish my body. And when we start to eat healthy food like that for a while, we actually start to feel better. Our bodies feel better. We feel better about ourselves. Our gut works better. So we have this opportunity to nourish our bodies. So are you someone who nourishes their bodies? Is that someone you want to be? And how can you do that? All right, so let me recap real quick. Number 1, move more. 2, build muscle through strength training. 3, making sure that you're eating enough protein to help with that muscle building. 4, don't overeat. And number 5, plan ahead so you don't fall into these old patterns. So you don't need a fancy diet or a perfect routine. You just need to start taking action. Little steps add up. Our metabolism isn't fixed. Our habits can change it. We can change our mindset so that we're doing different actions. And if you're not sure where to start, or you want support with your workout, food, or habits, set up a free call with me down below. I'd love to help take the guesswork out. All right, friends, make sure that you tune in next week. And if this episode helped you or you felt encouraged by it, please send it to a friend. Spread the word. Let's help not only ourselves get healthy, but those around us, because they are going to influence us the most. All right, friends, have a good week.